Welcome, everybody. We are on time and going to begin. I did mention that this is a lunch and learn. So bring in new customers, bring in new people that haven't heard about our glorious and fabulous products, because we want to work with like-minded people who are interested in being a part of the solution. And each week we'll discuss relevant topics on health and wellness, critical to our time now. Again, so every Wednesday, 12:45, we'll begin. And with that, I have the good fortune of working with a great team of people who are going to be helping us give the information. So I'm going to turn this over to Carolyn Whiteman right now.
Well, so welcome, everyone. One of the things that we talked about as we did this is our heritage goes back to times when we weren't socially isolated, but where we got together, and honestly, we did exactly this. We did a luncheon. We'd come and visit at someone's home. There would be food prepared around the dining room table. You'd have a chance to visit with people. You'd make connections with neighbors and friends, and then usually end up with a nice lunch either before or after. And so as we think about this, we wanted to add the opportunity for us to connect, because among the things that I believe people are most really going to be missing now is the opportunity to have a social connection. But particularly what people are looking for is the connection with a community of people that they trust, that share their values, and that are interested in the same things. And even though we are all in different locations, obviously all around the country, we have the opportunity to connect with each other and just kind of make some friends. So that's why we're adding this dimension into what could be a presentation, but we want it to be interactive. So thanks to Ann and team for making that possible.
Yeah, well, thank you, Carolyn, for a lot of your great ideas as well. And, you know, for those of you that are new, Carolyn and I go way back. Carolyn was in the Peace Corps, and so was always interested in being a part of the solution, and was interested when she came back from the South Pacific, and her mother had actually gotten introduced to Shaklee Basic Age, kind of like Pam's mother, who got interested many years ago. So thank you very much for all your input and all that you've done. We're going to go to our next slide, and a person we've kind of adopted and brought into our program that is in another whole family of Shaklee is Maria Cloutier. And I don't know if I'm saying your last name correctly, Maria, but she felt that this slide was most important to her. So Maria, can you share some information on why you think this slide is so important? And maybe you could read it for people who are listening to the recording afterwards.
Sounds great. A couple of months ago, we were having a Shaklee meeting in my home, and Joanne was there. And so I paid her a compliment on her success. And I took the opportunity at the same time to jab at myself that not being as successful. And she very deftly deflected my negative comment and pointed out strength that she saw in me and my success. Less than an hour later, I did it again. I pointed out her strength and her success. And again, I took another jab at myself, and she again deflected it and pointed out my strength. And so that kind of got me to thinking. And then she put together a presentation, and one of the last slides said, self-care is giving the world the best of you instead of what's left of you. And ever since then, that was at our January kickoff meetings, I've been ruminating this idea in my head. And where it starts for me is about self-talk. And probably for a lot of people as well. Maybe I'm preaching to the choir here, but we probably know or will come across people who have, like me, this penchant for going in that direction of negative self-talk. So every time we have a thought, it's either negative or positive. And we have been influenced by family, friends, the culture, where we hang out, who we hang out with. But at some point in time, we're no longer but victims, but we can become volunteers. And so I've been thinking about this a lot. And a couple of days ago, I watched a video that was put together by Bob Ferguson, Master Coordinator, and he reminded me of the Pacific Institute information where you wear a rubber band. You can see my rubber band. And if you say negative thoughts to yourself, you pull on the rubber band just as a reminder. Well, we have an opportunity to create the culture inside our head, but also in our environment. And I think Shackley is a perfect example of a positive culture where we lift each other up, we encourage each other, and we teach each other. And we don't allow the fact that somebody's not in my upline or downline to influence whether or not we include them. And so, case in point, here I am, 2,000 miles away from what used to be home, and I'm included in Joanne's team. And I'm very, very grateful for that. I have done the same thing when I was in a similar situation in New Mexico. So 2 things we can do. Number one is avoid that negative self-talk. Every time we think about it or a negative thought comes into our minds, we want to deflect it somehow and look at our strength. That doesn't mean we don't figure out what we're doing wrong or that's not working and fix it. What it does mean is if we say things like, I've heard people say, when they compliment me on my garden, they'll say, oh, I kill every plant. Well, no, you don't kill plants, but it seems real to us. So whatever is real to us, we tend to embrace. So if we hear ourselves saying something negative, think of something positive, or think of a way that you can change it. So if you haven't succeeded in losing weight, okay, so what adjustments do you need to lose? Do I need to make in order to lose the weight? If my business is not where I want it to be, what adjustments do I need to make? Do I need to learn some skill? Do I need to watch a video? Do I need to talk to somebody to make it more successful? The same applies for interpersonal relationships. And so my number one, two goals I have for myself that I want to share. One is avoid the negative self-talk. And number 2, create a culture where it's positive. So just like Joanne did for me, for which I'm very grateful, when someone says something negative about themselves, try to point out a strength in them. And you never know, we just never know the influence we will have on other people. So self-care, remember self-care is giving the world the best of you instead of what's left of you.
Thanks, Maria. And I didn't mean to change the slide, so if that happens, I'll just go back. But it's interesting because when my children, I've worked on self-talk for a long time because I needed to. Mm-hmm. And I taught my children that what they need to say is say, cancel, cancel. When they hear that little negative self-talk or that boogeyman in the back of their head, say, cancel, cancel, and think of something positive to change it in. And so I think it's important for all of us, especially now, because we can get frustrated about our particular living situations if we let it get overwhelming for us. And that's also a part of why we're creating this community of getting together, so we can hear from each other to help lift up and empower each other. So with that, what else do we need to lift ourselves up, Susie?
Humor. Gotta be able to laugh. When I first saw this, I was hysterical and passing it around because, well, it could be partly true. So you have to laugh at yourself. And I laugh at myself. It's okay. I don't take myself seriously. And I have found that has really lightened my spirit, which in turn lightens everybody else's around me. It's how you can be of service to others by being lighter on yourself. And actually, I pulled from this personality and social psychology bulletin, this paper, sense of humor is beneficial for health, and that there's evidence that it's stress buffering to have a sense of humor. I'm talking about the kind of sense of humor that's used to connect with other people, like this does. You know, most people aren't out at work. A lot of the, hairdressers, barbers aren't working. Maybe there's some, but most aren't. So most people can relate to this without making anybody feel bad. It just, everybody can relate, and it's something that's a lot of fun. So also, Maria, I loved what you were talking about, and you mentioned about the people that you hang around with. Like I was saying, having a sense of humor lightens everybody's load. And, as a mother, a father, a sister, a brother, or a friend, we can have big influences of people around us. And having a sense of humor is huge. I mean, think about it. Would you rather be around someone with a really good, light sense of humor or somebody like Debbie Downer? Which one? I would rather be around somebody with a good sense of humor that knows that a situation is serious, but can also laugh at it, because we need that relief. So I really like the fact that I could find journal information, actual scientific evidence on this, and that it just helps in our well-being, heart health, so many different areas, fighting disease. I don't know if you remember Norman Cousins. He was one of the first to connect humor and healing, helping with the healing of cancer. So I throw this out to you. I wanted to put this picture up there to give everybody a good laugh. And remember, a sense of humor is so healing. And I want to see everybody's haircuts in 18 months.
Actually, my hairdresser said they're not going to be open for 30 days. For those listening to the recording, it's a guy with a punk kind of crazy haircut, and it says how we're all going to look after 18 months of cutting our own hair. And my hairdresser hates it when I take the scissors to my hair, which I have been known to do with frustration. So this morning we had an earlier Zoom event, and we were sharing silly stories that we could laugh at. And actually one of the biggest times that I laughed hysterically on the bed, rolling over, was when Susie and I attended a conference together. We became so stupidly silly after being in a conference meeting all day for 2 or 3 days that anything we saw made us laugh. So Susie,
release.
It is. We all need a release from tension. Speaking of a release from tension, stress affects our immune system. It can suppress our immune system, and boy, who isn't under stress right now? Some of us are under more stress than I know. Pam has a very serious, her mother-in-law is dying at this particular time. I mean, what a worse time that someone could be having to deal with that as well as other things. So how do we manage stress? Well, exercise. We were talking about going swimming. I have my horse, going to the barn, walking the dogs. What form of exercise? I set up a yoga studio downstairs because my yoga class is canceled and closed. Meditate. I've been a meditator now for over 40 years. It's the only way I can stay sane. A lot of people can do it through prayer. How to unplug? That's a hard one for me because I like to be on and doing things all the time. And we talked about staying positive. But here's a product that is my go-to product these days. I've moved out of a 70-acre farm. I've had a health issue in one of my family members. Moving from a big facility to a different environment was really tough. But stress relief is an absolutely fabulous product. I'm not going to go into science details because we all know the Shaklee difference in science. So if you have, for example, Kathy's here as a guest of Susan Buda, who is a fantastic scientist and wonderful at giving product information. This product you can take all the time. As a matter of fact, I have a bottle upstairs in the bedroom, in the kitchen, and downstairs. And if I find myself getting stressed, I can take it. It's a good stress relief product, and it can elevate your body's levels of cortisol. And so it helps you have a calmer, more sedate, and wonderful feeling of balance. So I encourage anyone to get at least one bottle. You don't need as many as I have if you don't think you need it. But all I can say is it's one of my favorite herbal products that Shaklee has available. And there's many resources on the Shaklee website to give you better scientific detail on ashwagandha, which is one of the herbal products in it. And it can actually, the other good thing is it relieves tension and stress, but it doesn't make you sleepy. So you're not drugging yourself like some other medications that in the pharmaceutical industry that they give to people to help reduce their stress levels. So it's a fabulous resource for you to feel better. Now there's a lot of talk about how important it is for us to wash our hands, clean our home. And Pam Budner, who's a great researcher on detail and information, is going to share this fabulous product, Basic G. Pam?
Thanks, Joanne. I think we're all now called to do a much better job about cleaning and sanitizing. And I happened to pick up a little article in the paper the other morning, which was titled How to Clean Your Home for Coronavirus. So I think, you know, it's especially important that we, as good ambassadors of using products that are safe for us and safe for the planet, it's a wonderful opportunity for us to spread the good word about Basic G, and if you haven't used it, to understand all of its benefits. And I just will start the few minutes that I have by saying Basic G is now on back order. It will not be available, I understand, until the end of May. But that doesn't mean you can't get in the queue for it. So if you need a good cleaner and disinfectant, and you're not familiar with this product, talk to the person who invited you and get in line for some Basic G. The interesting thing that I discovered as I was doing some research on the CDC site, they have it's a very, if any of you have been on the Centers for Disease Control site, you'll see under /coronavirus, there's a huge number of topics, and they do cover cleaning and sanitizing. And what was interesting that I learned recently is that they specifically call you to first clean the surface that you're going to be cleaning, hard, non-porous surfaces we're talking about, nothing upholstered, nothing like clothing. Clean them first with the soapy hot water and then sanitize them. And I thought, aha, what we have with Basic G is a product that will clean and sanitize in one product. You do not have to do 2 steps. So that's, I think, a huge advantage. The other thing is our product, as most of you know, is that 1 quart that's up there on the right-hand side will make 64 gallons of all-purpose disinfectant. So I'm even, for people who can't get it right now and they're local, I'm dispensing a little bit of Basic G to help them make their own use solution, because I do have a good supply. But let's cover the document that you see here. We couldn't get it really clear on a slide, and it is a PDF file that was made available to us last week. And if you do not have a copy of this, you can ask me or ask your upline to make sure that you get a PDF file of this good document, because really it goes over all the frequently asked questions about Basic G. And I'm kind of going to blitz through a couple of them. I'm not going to go through every one, but a couple of them are very important to know about. And also, I'd like to call everyone to get cleaner and to think about all the high-touch surfaces that you impact with on a daily basis, such as doorknobs, light switches, your refrigerator and microwave doors, your drawer pulls, the TV remote, counters and tabletops where you cook and eat, faucet handle. I even did the threshold of my into the house. I have a little mailbox that's attached to my front house where you have to flip open the lid to mail in, so I've disinfected that. Your gas pump, where you pump your gas. The other day, I actually had to use an ATM to make a deposit. Our bank was closed, so I have my G solution in the car with a cloth, and I just spray the cloth, not onto the pad, and wipe it down, do my transition. I didn't have any gloves, and then wipe it down again after my transaction. So if you think about all the things that we know about and things we don't often think about, that's where you can use Basic G. There are also in this article, the question was asked, how often should I clean? And the suggestion was every day. I'm looking at all the, another thing, how can I be sure my home stays clean? This is another question that appeared in the Times article. When you get home, take off your shoes, hang up your coat, and immediately wash your hands for 20 seconds with soap and water. Now let me just highlight just a couple of things on this sheet. And that is, do germ-off disinfecting wipes have the same antiviral properties as posted for Basic G? And you can see the answer there is no. Basic G wipes are not effective against viruses. They're very good against bacteria. So when you think about coronavirus, you want to use your Basic G solution. That is paramount. Let me just.
You can do about making your own solution with paper towels.
Right. There's a thing going around I saw on Facebook where you make your own G solution by cutting paper towels and putting them in a canister. And Shackley recommends that this is not something you should be doing, that it's not effective and it's not recommended and it's not sanctioned. So that won't work. The other question I've had is, can you add Basic G to hand wash? The answer is no. Basic G is a really, really powerful germicide, and it's designed to clean hard surfaces, not your skin. And they do recommend that you should wear gloves when you use this product. And I see it repeated over and over in this FAQ document that the best thing to do is if you can leave it on the surface for 10 minutes. So, spray it around, go do something else, put a little timer on, then go back and wipe it down, or rinse it off if you're going to be preparing or using it on a surface where you be preparing food. So
I really love this product for that, Pam, too, because you can literally go around the house and spray everything, and then don't they say it could also dry naturally without having to wipe it down?
In this document, Joanne, they're recommending wiping it down.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. And please, I always tell people right now, because if you're new to this product and you don't understand how concentrated our products are, some people are tempted to think a little bit more. That spray unit that's pictured in the slide that Joanne has pulled up is a 16-ounce sprayer, and it is labeled with the exact amount of Basic G you need to add to it for the virus, killing this virus, and that is 1.5 teaspoons. So I really, really stress that when I'm recommending it to people. Do not use more. More is not better. It's wasteful, it's not needed, and make sure you
the other thing too, Pam, here is it's non-flammable, which is a great asset about this product. And it has a safety cap on it. You don't want children to get into it because it's one of our only products that's meant to kill. Dr. Shackley said he wanted to create products that would not harm any living tissue cell. Basic G has a safety cap because it's meant to kill some very serious viruses, HIV, the coronavirus, et cetera, et cetera. So thanks, Pam, for that great information. Again, all resources are available to talk to the person who invited you if you would like to hear more. Let's move along now to other important nutrients that help build our immune system. And Maria's coming back to share that with us. Maria?
So one of the first product I wanted to talk about to support Dr. Kojima is a Nobel Prize winner, and he is the one who put this product together for us. The exciting things about this product is that it helps the communication between one cell and another when an invasion is detected. So we don't make claims that Shackley vitamins cure anything, but the immune system is intelligent and it learns from the past. So when it discovers an invasion, it creates all sorts of antibodies, white blood cells, macrophages, all those fancy terms, basically saying it arms itself to support the immune system. And so I just listened to a talk by Dr. Rusty Ost, and he said drugs kill things. And that's a good thing, to kill the bad stuff that we don't want. But they don't create the formation of new white blood cells in order for us to be able to have protection in the future. And so when Dr. Kojima was in his 80s, he looked the world over to see what company had the integrity of the way they conduct business and how they handle the raw materials and how they handle their product. And he approached Shackley, and it was, I have to tell you, it was a very exciting day. The day was announced, and we were sitting in the audience, and he spoke with us. So what this product does is it helps the body to kill the things that it's supposed to kill that we don't want in our bodies. The name of it, I have to say, is almost irrelevant, because whether it's, you know, whatever it is, I don't even want to give it a name, whatever the virus is or the bacteria, or maybe it's an immunity situation. And a lot of people whose immunities today are suppressed for one reason or another. This product will help to rev it up. And we have lots and lots of testimonials where people who are fighting for their lives through one challenge or another are able to see a significant increase in the white blood cell count just by introducing Nutriferon into their diet. Should it be the only thing? No, because it comes, in my opinion, our bodies are kind of a combination of nutrients that support different facets of our health. Nutriferon, for me, is at the top of the list. So an easy way to remember remember this product is Nutriferon interferes with the acceleration of how viruses attach themselves to cells and how they grow and multiply. So it interferes with the spreading. And there are other products that I'm going to talk in a minute that actually kill them. And there are some macrophages. You know, macrophages are designed, they're like little Pac-Man. They kind of eat up all the invaders that we don't want, regardless of the name. And until I heard that talk the other day, I was kind of a little hesitant to say, take Nutriferon, it'll help to fight this virus. The fact is, Nutriferon helps to fight all viruses. The ones that we know now, and I hate to say this, there's probably others that we will encounter in the future, but Nutriferon is smart, and our bodies are smart, and they will mount a really sustained attack on the viruses that we're fighting now, and we'll probably need to fight in the future. And then the second product that I love, by the way, tastes delicious, is this lovely big tablet. You put it in a glass of water, you watch it fizz up and melt, and each tablet is the equivalent of 16 oranges. The vitamin C daily requirement right now is somewhere around 60 to 90 for adults, which is infinitesimal. It is not enough. And most nutritionists recommend well over 500 or 1,000. And I always go back, showing my age a little bit here, to Dr. Linus Pauling. I remember listening to a talk of his on cassette tapes. And he said, if we consume 2,000 to 10,000 milligrams of vitamin C, we would eliminate most diseases, most infectious diseases. Now, we haven't taken him up on it, but recently I remembered, and now I've increased my vitamin C level to about 3,000 a day, 3,000 milligrams. So I take one of the tablets, and then I take, of course, the strip, which has some in it, and then I take our vitamin C separate product. This is an easy one, and I think that the vitamin C, again, helps our immune system just kind of rail up and say, get out of here, you terrible person.
Yeah, and you know what, Maria, a lot of people go buy coldies, and I had someone in my yoga class say that she went to the dollar store to buy some. We can always be very clear on the quality and the value of our Shackley science and raw materials, which if you don't know about, there's a huge Shackley difference information about how many tests we do for these products. What's the third product, Maria?
The third one is Defend and Resist, and I love Defend and Resist, but I want to say at the beginning that it also supports the immune system, but this is one of those products that you don't take every day because one of the main ingredients in it is echinacea. Echinacea basically stimulates the immune system, kind of a kickstart, if you will. But once it kickstarts it, it can't do anything else. And so the echinacea is recommended that we take about a week to 10 days on and at least a week off to allow the body to get kick-started. But it has zinc in it. It has larch tree, which supports echinacea. But my favorite ingredient in there is black elderberry. And this black elderberry, what it does is, you know, viruses, how they mutate and they have little points on them that helps them attach to a healthy cell. They have no reproductive system, so they need to feed off of other cells. Well, this elderberry actually coats the outside. I got that from Dr. Bruce Miller years ago, and how I understood that it worked. It coats the outside, those little points that the virus has, preventing it from attaching to a healthy cell. So it just dies of starvation, basically. So the combination of these three will truly boost our immune system. It's a very powerful combination that we can tell people about. And again, they're unique to Shaklee, and I'm really, really happy that we have these.
Yeah, and you know what? Defend and resist, I like to say to my kids, you know, whenever you feel a little tickling in your throat that you go, uh-oh, that's when you start it. And you take it every day, and it will retard the progression of anything that might be trying to catch you. Pam has an announcement. Pam, I'll let you make that announcement at the end of this about where they can get the GPDF. But what I'd like to move on now with is we're going to bring Carolyn back. Before we do, I want to thank all of you that are new here, joining our Lunch and Learn. I have been with Shaklee Corporation for 45 years. I was a yoga teacher. I had been introduced by my yoga teacher who was a purist. Even though I was a health food nut back 45 years ago and going to the health food store when it was just a little podunk store, he was a purist, and he introduced me to Shaklee, and I saw the difference in what the Shaklee nutrients did for me versus my other stuff I was buying. So I was young and didn't have much money and thought I'd just get involved with this company and thought I could help people be healthier, started introducing them to it, and I'm still here 45 years later. But one of the things that I was reading in the AARP now bulletin, which is very funny, it has an article here that says annuities may make you happier. It says the percentage of people with annuities very satisfied with retirement is 60%. Percentage of people without annuities very satisfied with retirement is 39%. When I saw the Shaklee business model, I fell in love with it. I've been in love with it. I'm still in love with it, and it produces and provides annuity income for you. So I'm going to turn it over to Carolyn and Suann to just touch briefly for those interested to hear a little bit about the benefit of us representing this quality company and product. So Carolyn?
Thank you, Joanne. I think that this may sound like it's a mismatch when people talk about immunity and their concerns about health and the environment. But what we know is people are looking for three things right now. They need good health and the opportunity to improve their health. They're looking for a way to work from home, but they're also very much more now focused on their financial stability. And so I like to take this chart, even though it doesn't have to be understood, but I like to be able to take this and to say to someone, there are two different kinds of possibilities that can be available that could be available. One of them is the opportunity to actually create some immediate income. And that can be done, I think one of our other slides, we can talk about that. But the other thing is that whereas a few weeks ago, this may not have been something people would listen to, the option of actually creating an additional source of income that can exist for a long term. Just as you mentioned, Joanne, the idea of an annuity. And that's what the business that you and I have been able to create, along with many of the others that are here, is the opportunity to have an annuity that comes in every month consistently because we're able to provide the products and services that people are looking for. But here's the big plus. What if just right now in these times of so many challenges, what if there were an option of having as much as $20,000 in cash available to you to actually support the development of a business that you could do and if you focus and accelerate this model, not only can you have the $20,000 in cash, but in order to get that, you would have created a business that is creating ongoing income that would begin at somewhere over $30,000 a year. Because, and for people who understand the chart, people who become, in order to get this, if you're starting from scratch, you become an executive coordinator. And on the income scale, as someone who is a key coordinator, the minimum income is somewhere in the $30,000 range, up to $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. So what if you could provide these kinds of resources to someone who may not have even considered having another business right now? So it's a big need that people are looking for. And I like to just use this as a teaser and say, if you want to talk about it, we can talk about it some more. This isn't designed for education. It's really just designed to give people some possibilities.
Well, you know, Carolyn, what's so funny, when I first looked at Shackley, I wanted $50 a week extra. So anything will help anyone. And besides, we have a win-win because we're helping people be healthy. We have a really good story. Suanne, why don't you share a little bit? You mentioned how you were a dental hygienist and that your office is closed. Share a couple of minutes of your story, because I think it might relate to a lot of new people.
Okay. Thank you, Joanne. Well, my Shackley story started out basically to look for health and wellness for my son, who at that time was 3 years old, had been diagnosed with asthma. He's now 32, a husband and a dad, and healthy and using all of his Shackley right now. And, you know, I got frustrated. You know, I was taking him to the doctor. I believe in medical intervention, but he was on so many medications, and I kept asking about nutrition. And part of my dental hygiene background is in nutrition, and they couldn't give me any answers. So I went to a friend of mine's house who was associated with Donna Titus, who's on this call. And I said, talk to me about this stuff, because I know the stuff that's out in the store and even out in the health food stores is not exactly what I'm looking for, because it had fillers and colorings and sugars and things I didn't want to put into Billy's body. So I started on a program very reluctantly, I will say, because being a health professional, there were other people that came to me from other companies and said, try our stuff. And then they weren't interested in the health of my son and my family. They were interested in me selling their products. And I know that, you know, other companies have sales plans too, but that was not my focus. And what's great about, you know, everybody involved in Shackley is we want whatever the person wants. And so if you're coming in for better health, that's what we're going to work with you with. If you're coming in looking for a business opportunity, we can help you with that. But it's what the person that's coming in truly wants. And I appreciated that when I was working with Shackley and my friend and with Donna. Also, Shackley has peer-reviewed clinical studies published in reputable journals. That meant a lot to me as a health professional, because that means that they're not just taking their product and doing a study internally and saying this is the results we're getting. This was third party going outside of the company and getting reports that have to be voted on and through a series of different votes. And so it's really a process and really a feather in Shackley's cap that we have I don't know, over 100. I mean, I'm not good with numbers. I'm not a mathematician, but I know we have lots and lots of studies that prove that our products they're pure, they're safe, and they're free of any kind of pesticide.
You know, Suanne, what is the Shackley business model, though, meant to you after, especially now where you can't go in? I know you've had the great health results with your son and how you were able to get him off of all the heavy asthma medications,
right,
because you built up his system. What is the Shackley business? So you started sharing it because you fell in love and got great results from your son. How do you feel that the business has related to you in a positive way?
Well, that was my next step. Out of that, you know, people started seeing that my son was healthier. I went on a program. I was healthier. I was nicer to my coworkers because I wasn't so worn out at the end of the day. And I started sharing information, and I started educating people. I never felt as like I was a salesperson.
So, well, let me ask you, because we're a little short on time here.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about, you know, the fact that I know that you've shared Shackley over a number of years so that you have an extra income source. What would you say Shackley's bringing in as just a hobby thing that you've done over the years, in
Well,
terms of people who might say, well, gee, maybe I need an X amount of dollars to do this as a hobby to introduce people.
right, and that's a good point. Out of my sharing and educating, I earned a bonus check. And out of that bonus check, it accelerated me to think, wow, this can really be a business. I mean, it's something I'm passionate about anyways, helping people and helping them be healthy. But also, now being on my own and now having my dental offices closed, what's really nice is my Shackley bonus comes in. So it's a huge part of how I pay my bills right now. And it's nice because you can do it from home. You can get on Zoom calls, even though we're all socially distanced today. So it's a real benefit that you
So
can look at very.
it can bring in an extra $1,000 for you, a part-time hobbyist.
Oh, easily.
At least, right. Well, thank you, Sue Ann, for sharing that information. We're going to move along. As I said, I do kind of nudge people only because we have a commitment not to overkeep people in terms of the time. Prove It Challenge. I know we have many of you here who use this. This is an excellent starting point to earn that extra $1,000 or more per month income that you might want. Again, talk to the person who brought you. I was a struggling yoga teacher, not sure what I was going to do with my life, wanting $50 a week extra. There are people right now who are looking to find out how they can possibly pay their bills. So talk to the person who brought you. I've become a very large Shackley business because I fell in love with it and I love the products. And you can too. You don't have to be a nutritionist, anybody. I do not talk science. I'm not a Susan Buda or some of the other people who are very technically oriented. I just know that I have scientists at my disposal to talk about the quality of what Shackley has to offer. So one of the thoughts we had that we could offer you, those of us that are people who have built a business and are involved with Shackley on a regular basis, each of your upline leader will be inviting you to join a Zoom event, which I have scheduled for our Gen team, and I sent that out to all of the Gen team, where it's going to be called a hub. And I was listening to a TED Talk, and he was saying, now's a time when we all do need to get together virtually. And Carolyn addressed that in the beginning of the slide. So you'll hear from me for our Gen team if Donna Titus may want to start her own, or Pam Budner or someone else, that Maria for her group. Get together with your people. There are people who are looking for some solutions, and not only on product, but my hub will be on business. So I'll be definitely covering business elements to explain more about how I took my yoga information, or how Sue Ann took her hygienist life. We have corporate people, business people, all sorts of people from different backgrounds who are looking for something right now, and we look forward to having you join us. Again, the Lunch and Learn Wellness Series will be every Wednesday night at 1 p.m. Same Zoom room, and it's the power to make sense of changes and choices. We are recording this thanks to Scott Holdren at gen.opastuff.org, so you can also share it with someone instead of, let's say, well, I'd like $50 a week extra. I really need to help my sister or my brother or someone. You can take them to the recording and have them listen to it. The other thing that I'm offering is I have been a meditator and a yoga teacher and very involved. I'm offering and opening up a morning mindfulness on Friday mornings at 9 p.m., every Friday morning at 9 p.m. in my Zoom room, where I will take us through probably half an hour to 45-minute max mindfulness. How do you center yourself? How do you deep breathe? How do you look at the positive and uplifting sight that's all around us that we can bring forth into this time of change? So that will be an open meeting on Friday mornings at 9 a.m. Now, Pam, we'll have you end up closing this, and we are on time. Thank you. and just tell people where they can get the PDF.
Okay, so the PDF on the FAQs for Basic G, Scott will post the PDF with this recording of this call. And also, I've just learned that it lives at marketing.shaklee.com/tools. That's marketing.shaklee.com/tools. And you can find that 2-page PDF document there.
And where did you say Scott was going to post it on my jen.opastuff.org?
Yes. Yeah, he'll post the PDF there.
Okay, everybody.
Thank you, Scott.
Yep. Thank you. And Rob, did you do the Prove It challenge? Is that where you lost all your weight? I'm going to unmute you. Hold on. Now you're unmuted. And we are complete, everybody. So 145, we've done that. But Rob can share that he lost how much weight on the Prove It challenge?
I lost 15 pounds in a week, like 7-8 days, doing the Prove It challenge. And then I've kept it off. I went from a 208 to 193, kept it off. I did that in November. I think November 1st I started. Then I just did the challenge again with my fiance because I wanted to give her some support. And I lost another 7 or 8 pounds. So, and it tends to stay off, which is the big thing that a lot of diets and different things do. This certainly works. And everyone that we've had a handful of other people that we've passed it along to, shared with, and they've all had similar results. It's all been, it's a great way to introduce someone that's not familiar with Shaklee products to, some of the best things that they offer, the vitamin strips and the life shakes. And it's a great way to pull people into showing them what Shaklee has to offer.
Well, as a yoga teacher as well, when I first started, it was very interesting how this is the evolution of what I started on in today's time. And it was really basically designed by Dr. Shaklee, who realized at that time that we needed vitamins, minerals, protein, fats, carbohydrates, and water for a healthy body. And he realized that with our industrialization and the stripping of all the nutrients out of our food, we weren't getting good food anymore. And we talked about that at our last presentation we did about the food choices. So this is food supplements, not vitamins. It's food supplements where we get these beautiful raw materials that we can't grow in our backyards anymore and puts into this nutrient that we can actually feed ourselves healthfully. So great story. We may even have you share it at one point if you decide to join us. And I want to thank every one of you for being a part of this new community that we're starting on Wednesdays. So thanks, everybody.